So, I'm in a bit of a dilemma this week. Hi, if you're wondering why I'm speaking very softly, it's because my parents are asleep and I do not wish to wake them up. You see, I'm usually quite shy to speak in front of the camera, in front of them. So I usually find a time when they are either not around or asleep. For the case of last week's video, they were out. So today they were mostly in, so I decided to record when they are asleep. Anyways, I have my phone here too as backup, I guess. Anyways, I'm back with some new materials for the week, especially for my piece, the one that I talked about last week, which I have decided to call Album Leaf. I don't think I've mentioned that in the previous one, or maybe I did, I just can't remember. Last time I left off, I have written the last bits of the first part that eventually led to the beginnings, or sort of beginnings, for the second part. And as I have mentioned in the video, I would come back this week with something for that. Well, I have, kind of. Actually, I had two of them. And this is where my dilemma comes in. Let's get on with it. So I started off my session today with some usual piano practices. Which went alright. I had to stop, a little bit of a funny story, I had to stop in the middle of it to cut my fingernails because I was initially too lazy. I knew that my fingernails were long in the beginning, but I just felt so lazy and I thought I could actually get away with it, but I could not. It just got in the way of the playing so much, so I had to stop halfway to just clip my nails. So then I got to practicing a little bit more after that, mostly Rachmaninoff's arrangement of Bach's Gavotte for the violin. And Mozart's Sonata. It's kind of like a bit of a warm-up session as well for my composing, so after that I thought I had enough, then I went over to start working on a piece. I went into trying out stuff all the way through. I had something in mind, something calm, something hymn-like, which is something that I kind of like. It's something that you heard or you would hear at the end of my first vlog. I played around with it a little bit today, but it just didn't really stick. It just felt, yeah, it's a resolution, but that's it. It's just a resolution for the sake of resolving. It still had the hymn-like vibe, but it didn't really need anywhere else. So I played around a little bit more, played with some chords. Some strange harmonies, and I finally got something. still maybe not there, but it's something to start off. So this part here is going to be a bit of a transition to the actual main theme or main subject for part 2. Now this one was a little bit more of a challenge. I tinkered around with it a little more. This was the part that I realized I never really had an idea of how I wanted it to be, and there were two possibilities: either a section that contrasts the first part, kind of like a rhapsody, or a section where the style that isn't as far as an offshoot to the first part. I played around a little bit with the contrasting section because I thought maybe I could try to make this almost like a rhapsody. So this was what I had for the contrasting bit. It sounds very skippy, very classical, and I quite kind of like it, but after playing it for a while I just couldn't really find a way to continue it any other way. So I continued it a little further, I played around a little more, and I got this. You know what? I love this very much as well. If anything, it further emphasized the wave-like vibes from the first theme, and this as a whole also proves to be more fun when I was playing around with the melodies, because there's so much possibilities that I could play around with the melodies that will be singing on top, and that is... Well, in the process of actually writing the script and deciding that I would be saying this in front of the camera, I've subconsciously decided that I would be choosing the second option here. It fits with the theme spectacularly, and it's more fun. I don't find myself struggling as much. If anything, I find it invigorating. Yeah, I think probably I'll be going with that. It relates more to the first theme compared to what I came up at first for the second part. I will only need to figure out how I want to transition. That one moving around, because the original one was meant for the skippy one, not so much for this one. This one just came out of nowhere, so I will have to find a way to transition into it. But anyways, thank you so much for being my audience if you're watching this at all. And I guess in some ways I do need to either write it out or speak it out to make sense of what I'm creating, or whenever I want to decide between two options when I'm creating. And there's always a lot of these ideas that I have, and I've always wanted to try everything that I have in mind, but realistically I can never really hold any one of them. This is something that I have to remind myself. I must always choose one path for the piece. Otherwise I'll end up telling everything and nothing at the same time. So yeah, I guess I'll stop here, otherwise I'll be blabbering on. I'll hopefully see you next week with more updates on practicing and composing, either one, or if I have something else in mind, yeah, you'll know. Anyways, see you all and good night.